It is the One Star Cowboys podcast coming to you Sunday night after a tough one as the Cowboys take the L out there in Denver. We will hear from John Machota from out in Denver here in a little bit. I'm Kevin Turner. We have Saad Youssef. We have Kent Garrison, and what has been a very weird week of NFL games where there's not been a ton of close games, and our Cowboy game falls into that category as well. Hopefully, as Packers and Steelers are going at it right now, hopefully they'll give us a close game tonight because it's been a rough one, Sod. And, man, there's a lot there. Defensive woes continue. I think that's the headline. Tons of penalties. This is one of those games where if we went around the horn, it's like, hey, who's got their hot take? What's their big angle? I think we all just go, yeah, that one sucked.
Yeah, it did. And the defense is bad. There's no doubt about it. And the secondary is decimated even more. But I think this should serve as a game for Brian Schottenheimer to take a unique approach to the way that he comes into games with what he wants to do. We talked about this a little bit last week when we talked about them taking the ball first, receiving, and how most teams want to defer and get the ball coming out of the break in the second half. But I think when you're the Cowboys, you kind of want to take the ball first so you can get the defense on their heels, score, and maybe try to get a 3-and-out on the first drive on defense. But the reason why I bring that up is I think he's going to have to reevaluate what going for it on fourth down looks like, because there was certainly a fourth down in the second half. I think you know which one I'm talking about, the 4th and 5, that no doubt you have to go for fourth down over there. There's not even a question about it. And we can get to that play and that sequence and everything in a bit. But the one that, in a lot of situations, you wouldn't really blame the coach is in the first half when you have 4th and 1, but you're on your own 29-yard line. You're like, if you go for it, yes, that's fine. If not, just where you are on the field plays into that a little bit. And Schottenheimer decided to punt on that play. You can't do that again with this Cowboys team with this Cowboys defense, because they punted. It took the Broncos 7 plays, 72 yards in a minute 35 after that punt on 4th and 1 to go down and score, to blow the game open a little bit more. Then the Cowboys got the ball back and they couldn't even get a field goal because Dak threw a pick at the end of the first half. So for me, that sequence right there was where the game really turned. But it would also be disingenuous, before I turn it over to you, KT, it would be disingenuous to really talk about it as if it's one play, as if it's one sequence. The Cowboys were never in this game. They were never going to. You go all the way to the first drive where Patrick Surtain goes out and you have George Pickens one-on-one. You got to take advantage. You got to go there. And hell, we're talking about going on fourth down. I know they had the false start that pushed them back a little bit. You might have to go for it on fourth down there as well when the score is whatever it is at the beginning of the game. It's such a shame that this team has the best field goal kicker in the NFL, and he's really kind of neutralized because you need touchdowns every single time you take the field.
Yeah, and it's like, there's so many things there. I agree with you on all that, and I think from a philosophy standpoint too, like I 100% agree with you. Getting more aggressive on fourth downs because you just have to think different. It's like. I tell you that when Dak threw an interception up the seams, he was trying to hit Ferguson right before the half. And, yeah, a penalty put them in a bad spot there where it was 3rd and 20 or whatever it was. But it's like, just get a few more yards and let your kicker get a shot at it before the half. For our entertainment, but for me, like for trying to get the 3 points, like, know your kicker. And this is what Schottenheimer's dealing with right now is, know your defense. And that's a bummer because you want to show confidence in those guys and you have to walk that fine line. But like, can I use an example from a TV show real quick? The Studio, it's a show on Apple TV and they do like a lot of one shots. Okay. And Seth Rogen was talking about managing that. Like sometimes these are 10-minute scenes and how they do all these takes, and he would know if someone messed up during the second or third, minute of this 10-minute scene. And he's just got to make this decision well, we got to keep doing it because I don't want to kill the actor's confidence for them being in the wrong spot or messing something up. We're going to go through with it. And that's kind of where Shoddy is. If Shoddy is going for it on 4th and 3 on the first or second drive of every game, like that is a bad look. But it is the reality of what this team is right now. When we have Bridges and Elijah Clark playing, this is going to happen. And that's how you give up 44 points to the Broncos.
Yeah, and another thing I want to just add, because, we're talking about how Schottenheimer has to take a different approach to this. Obviously, the number one culprit of the day is the defense once again. I mean, a 5-yard gain felt like it was a success. You had defensive backs flexing after stopping a guy gaining 9 yards on first down. Like, it's bad, but we've sung the praise all season long for Dak Prescott, and to be honest, Dak talked about before the game about how he's a much improved player since 2017, and obviously he is way more improved than what he was in his second year. He's an MVP candidate this year again. All that stuff is the same, but I will say it was kind of funny. I look back at that 2017 game, and the Cowboys lost that game to the Broncos, whose head coach was Vance Joseph, by the way.
Yes.
They lost 44-17. And when Dak went out of the game today, it was 42-17 Broncos, and Vance Joseph is the Broncos defensive coordinator. There is that. So maybe there's something to Vance Joseph and just kind of having Dak's number. But the other thing that I want to say is to the play that you pointed to, and that at the end of the first half, that's on Dak. You have to know that your kicker is going to make a long field goal that's going to close the gap to 27-13. It's gonna turn a 3-score game into a 2-score game, and you get the ball coming out of the half, which they ended up scoring a touchdown coming out of the half. All of a sudden, you're looking at a 1-possession game after your first possession in the second half. That's not how it went, because Dak got a little too greedy, too aggressive, and threw an interception at the end. So Dak was not on his game either today.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure in his face a lot. And for whatever reason, we do have, at least right now, we've got a road problem, I think, with this team. I mean, we can look at the Bears game week 3. We can look at that Panthers game. That Jets game was going a certain way until they, got the big turnover with Leofau punching out the ball on Breece Hall. But the defense was not very good that game. And you get the benefit of playing the Jets. You should be winning the game, but the Panthers game was not good. And then another one here. And it's part of the reason why I didn't pick the Cowboys here is because they really shown me that they can stack back-to-back-to-back weeks and then do what they've go take care of business on the road. And that's a little concerning, and that might be like a bigger picture thing, but maybe it's just, we're halfway through the season around there, so maybe that's just what it is right now, and we'll reevaluate this, But, like, I think there's some things that happen there that do strike me as, like, are these happening at home? 3rd and 2, they're at the they're inside the 5-yard line, okay? We had the problem on first down, got stuff, 2nd and goal, throwing it to Pickens, but Surtain breaks it up, and then Surtain gets hurt. Go to commercial. So out of commercial break, 3rd and goal, and we have a false start on Brock Hoffman. So move it on back, incomplete pass, have to settle. This huge one.
Which, by the way, on that, Tony Romo on the broadcast kind of showed that it was probably on Tyler Guyton more than it was on Brock Hoffman.
Yeah, and Guyton had a little rough day, I would say. A huge one later of a false start on Guyton that got in, and then he got taken. But there was a huge one where Denver's got the ball on their second drive, because the first one, Bo Nix just threw it right to Bridges. But on their second drive, 3rd and 7, incomplete pass, you get the stop. So 2 drives, 2 stops. We have offsides on James Houston. Set up a 3rd and 2. They complete the pass. They go score. At the amount of pre-snap penalties in the first quarter alone that were just bag breakers, that can't happen, and I don't know if that happens at home. I don't know what's going on there. Gotta get that fixed, and this is games like this to tell you the Cowboys are not that good. And then you go look good against Washington last week, and you come back and go, hey, man, this offense, you can do whatever. And I still do feel that way about the offense. And I feel like the offense is going to go put up 30 points or more against the Cardinals on Monday night next week. But what we have now is just a good old-fashioned case of just not having the dogs. Dude, Elijah Clark and Bridges are not people that, like, they're not household names at all for, like, hardcore Cowboys fans. Like, hardcore Cowboys fans are like, the Syracuse, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So, like, those guys are getting snaps. So
and Clark even went down. So now you're even a layer behind Clark now. No, I totally agree with you. It's with the defense, it's just tough to, at this point, I don't want to harp on Schottenheimer and Dak's interception and make it sound like that's where I'm putting the blame for the game. It's just, we've gotten to the point with the defense where it's hard to come up with anything new. I mean, J.K. Dobbins was running all over. R.J. Harvey had a great game, and Cortland Sutton, I mean, if he doesn't drop that ball, he has, like, the score is even worse. There were some drops that made it that made it a little more respectable than even what it truly was. So the defense is just awful. I don't know about you, KT, but I just don't know what the solution is, because I can tell you this: DeMarvion Overshown coming back is not changing this.
No, and you're 100% right. But we've poked all the holes in the defense that we can poke. There's no more, like, there's no more analysis to give about the defense. Like, that is what it is right now. It's bad. And this is, I think that's the only way to advance that story, is what you said earlier, 10 minutes ago, is like Shotty's going to have to start coaching that way.
Yeah, there is one thing important that I think came out of this that I think the Cowboys, it would behoove them to really pay attention to. And that is how bad this defense is. You cannot make a move for Trey Hendrickson. Like, that's not the answer. I mean, Max Crosby, if you have a multi-year, commitment to the guy, he's under contract for a few years, you cannot try to go out here and try to make a one play, unless you're making 4 moves, and you're reinventing the wheel on defense. You cannot give up draft capital, give up players, or whatever the case may be that you believe in, for a rental who's going to be a free agent after this season. That is this game was a stark reminder of that, at least, where, look, if you're making a move for Max Crosby, I'm all for it. I think that's fantastic. But if you're making a move for any kind of a rental player, whether it be a cornerback, whether it be Trey Hendrickson or a pass rusher, you can't do it, because you're not one piece away right now. And hell, bring in Overshown, you're still not one piece away at that point either. So I think that's one thing that really the Cowboys should be paying attention to is, don't get dumb on the trade deadline and think that you're going to fix this, because you're not.
100%. And trade deadline is Tuesday, November 4th, the day after your Monday night home game against the Cardinals. And the Cardinals not very good, and we'll see if Kyler Murray, he should be back. But the Cardinals are a team who can go kind of play with anyone, and, that's not some game the Cowboys are just going to, like, steamroll the Cardinals. Clearly no one is, right? I think the Panthers loss a few weeks ago was a good reminder of that. But it feels like a game the Cowboys could go win. If I were picking right now, I'd say the Cowboys are going to win that game. And I just do wonder what they are thinking. Like, to me now, it's very simple. And it was actually this way. It was this way last week too. Like, you're answering all calls. You're looking at all things. But I am really trying to get all my ducks in a row for next year. And there's just not enough people. Like, Trayvon Diggs going to IR is interesting. And I think everyone wants to know more, like, what happened. It's human nature to be curious about that. Boy, when you see Bridges getting picked on out there, it makes you kind of go, I wonder if Trayvon Diggs. And then you go, no, Trayvon Diggs is probably going to get picked on too. Yeah. The mark's already been on him all year. So I think Eberflus is in a tough spot too. And I know he gets a lot of flack and probably should. The defense is what it is right now. But I would ask anyone, well, what do you do if Elijah Carter and Bridges are starting for you? I mean, these are not proven NFL players. So
the one thing that does trouble me, and I've felt this watching the game today and really all season long, it's the fundamental stuff that, like, if you've played high school football, and I'm talking mainly about these bounce out, like the angles on the runs that some of these defensive players are taking and things like that. It's just like, if you're just straight up getting beat one-on-one because you just don't have the horses, you're not as talented, that's one thing. The other thing is like that Troy Franklin touchdown. Again, we're talking about guys that are just so wide open. We go back to that Chicago game where you had 2 touchdowns and no one's even in the vicinity of of the players. And again, Troy Franklin on that touchdown over the middle is the same thing where it's not like when Sutton dropped the touchdown and someone's draped on his back. It's you have nobody in the zip code. And I think that's troubling. And that is on coaching though. And, the pre-snap penalties, we talked about them throughout as well. You can't have those either. James Houston had one where he's lined up in the neutral zone. You have all these offense ones. You just can't have that. And unfortunately for the Cowboys, the margin for error is so thin at this point that even one possession of not scoring, it feels like it's the end of the game. And so I think for me, my big takeaway coming out of this game is Schottenheimer, this disaster is not on him fully in terms of this season. What's going wrong this season is not on him fully, but he is the head coach now. Like, he's not just the offensive coordinator and the play caller. He's the head coach. He needs to make those adjustments, and he needs to start going for it on some of these 4th downs. Because like I said, there was one in the second half that was a 4th and 5. You have to go for that. But even that one in the first half, 4th and 1, I don't care if you're on your 29-yard line, you have to go for that. So that's just where the Cowboys are at this point.
No, you're right. And it's like, look, the next game is November. Like, it's November football. You are what you are at this point. There's the rare couple teams are still kind of piecing it together. Maybe, we know what they are. They know exactly what they are. And it's going to have to, come through just putting up a bunch of points. Nothing has changed there. It's just another ugly one there. Like, you look at the sheer numbers and you're just like, holy cow. 7 yards a carry, 7.5 yards a carry for J.K. Dobbins, 15 carries, 111 yards. Nearly 7 yards a carry for rounding up for R.J. Harvey. Troy Franklin's tearing you up for 6 catches and 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. They could do whatever they wanted. It does make you wonder, though, if it's 7-0 because you don't have to settle for a field goal. So let's say you punch it in there 7-0. You don't have the James Houston offsides penalty. You get off the field, you get the ball back, and then you go score again, and it's 10 or 14-0. Does Denver change the entire way that they have to play, like Washington did last week? Boy, if anything, today's a little bit of an indictment of how bad things are in Washington right now. But Washington could not run on the Cowboys at all last week, and maybe they were never in a good position to do that, or Denver kind of could do whatever they wanted all day long. And I think you're right. You have to. Otherwise, it's a loss. This defense is not going to get anything done. Like, it's really bad. And you realize that when Wanye Thomas and Donovan Wilson's been a target for a lot of people in the media, fans, things like that. And you go, okay, well, it would have been nice to have him today.
Yeah. And I totally agree on all the defensive points as well. A few quick hitters that I'll say on offense. Jaden Blue didn't see the active roster for a long time this season, and then for him to come in now and have that fumble, that's not going to be a good look, especially with Javonte Williams playing the way he is. Obviously, there were high expectations, maybe a little too high in the preseason by Cowboys fans just because of how bad the running game was and the fact that Jaden Blue, albeit 5th round, but was your first running back taken in the draft after an underwhelming, what appeared to be an underwhelming free agency. Obviously, Javonte has been fantastic. So that's not great. The other thing is Jake Ferguson was blanked. I know everyone calls this like National Tight End Day or whatever today. 1 target was an interception, 0 catches. That was not great. And then basically everybody behind CD and Pickens was struggling. I mean, Kevontae Turpin had 1 catch for -2 yards, and that's basically your 3rd best receiver. And if he's not your 3rd best, then it's probably Ryan Flanoy, who had 1 catch for 7 yards. So, I mean, and by the way, the Denver defense is for real, and it is fantastic from the front to the back and everything. But let's not act like Patrick Surtain was out there the entire game. I mean, he got injured on the very first drive, so he was playing at least limited early on before he eventually went out. Like, he was limited with the lower body injury, then went out with the shoulder injury. So it's not like they had their defensive player, the best player on the unit even going. So, and Dre Greenlaw was out as well, as he was suspended. So that was like we talked about. The defense is the primary area to blame, but the offense was not good. They were off today.
You're right on that Jaden Blue fumble too, dude. Like 5 fumbles in 2024 in college for the Longhorns. Like, he's known as that. I mean, he had a couple decent runs. The highlight of the Cowboys game today is the Joe Milton bomb to Tolbert late in the game in garbage time. Good Lord. That was an awesome throw. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were great. I know the ball was underthrown. That 3rd and 5, you do really wish Turpin would have pulled that in, hit him in the hands, but ultimately that is on Dak, but he's going to need a little help too there, and Turpin not hauling that in. And then, I think the decision to punt as well. I think we were all looking around going, we can't punt here. This is not, that can't be the plan. Just not good. Just not really good at all. And, I wish it wasn't like that. You had 4 minutes there too. There was a part in the game where right before the half, there was 4 minutes left. You were down 20-10 at this point. And I'm just thinking, look, go score 3 or 7, and then we get the ball out of the half. So let's just have a good 4-minute drive here. And they get 9 yards on first down, and then Javonte gets stuffed on 2nd and 1, and 3rd and 1, Dak gets it batted down, trying to throw to Turpin. And even then, it's second quarter with 3 minutes left, and you are in your own territory. But even then, on 4th and 1, I was kind of going, you kind of feel like you need to go ahead and just do it. And the fact that they weren't able to, then they punt. The Broncos score so quickly, and it's 27-10 before you know it, and you're trying to force the ball up the field to Ferguson. He gets picked in game. It's really game over right there. So it's just, I feel like we're coming in and we say the same thing every 2 weeks, because this is what happened against Carolina, and this is what happened against the Bears, and I don't. The answer is not there. No matter what Jerry says, the cavalry's not coming. So that's it. Kent, you have any thoughts on today's disaster?
Just that I love you boys.
Love you too.
I want you to know that.
I've been thinking about that. I do encourage everyone to go check out John and Saad's work over at The Athletic. And really, if you go to John's Twitter account, at John Machota, some majestic photos of the Denver skyline. As John was 5,280 feet up in the air. And those are some really good photos. So if anything, we got a good uniform matchup today. I like seeing the orange jerseys. I've always strongly disliked the Broncos Super Bowl 32 winning jerseys in Elway's final years. I never liked those. I'm not saying the old orange is like the color I'd choose. There's not a lot of good things you can do with orange, in my opinion, but just pretty good little combination there.
Yeah, I did. I like this combination for the Broncos.
CBS score bugs are tough. Romo's grumbling through the game. There's a lot going on there, but there's score bug at the bottom. I really like the CBS score bug. Very clear. I enjoy that. See, I'm finding positives. And searching, and no sacks today too. That stands out.
Yeah,
honestly, no. Was
barely any hits. I don't know if they got a hit.
One. Ezraku got one. And didn't see, going off memory here, didn't see a lot of just, hey man, we're gonna blitz here. Like it seemed way more dialed back, and maybe that's what they were doing because of Bridges and the lack of safeties, and maybe Eberflus was a little handcuffed there, but they weren't sending more than 4 very often at all. And you saw some of the most wide open touchdowns you'll ever see in the sport today.
Yeah.
Just another disaster 101.
One positive moment for the Cowboys I do also want to point out, which was kind of comical, was just CeeDee Lamb against Riley Moss down in the red zone, where it's just like, he can't cover CD, and he just gets back-to-back pass interferences in the end zone. Although the second one's a little ticky-tacky. I don't know.
I agree on that. That was a bad
yeah,
but
that one was a bad call, but yeah, I mean, that was the CD was having a good time for sure.
I was sitting there going, yeah, they're just trying to get Dak another touchdown pass here. They're not even because Javonte gets stuff once. It's like, do it again. I just the rare white cornerback. You don't see a lot of those.
Hey, they're growing though. Cooper DeJean over there in Philly. You got
Riley Moss. We're a little handsy. For guys like me who played a little corner growing up, it's good to see. Learn how to back pedal, get a good press off the line of scrimmage. This is a lot of inspiration for all of you white kids out there. There's also some hope.
I don't know if it's because of Randy, but if you hadn't seen Riley Moss, before you just heard the name, I don't know that you would your mind would go white cornerback.
Honestly, just knowing there's he's been memed up and people just internet discourse about him and things like that. Well, I saw him a little bit last week when we played the Giants. It was enough to just kind of know what to expect there going in. It's just so rare. I remember when I'll be quick here. 2016, the year they got Dak in the fourth round. The first fourth round pick of that year, Saad, was, do you remember?
For the Cowboys?
Yes.
No.
Charles Tapper.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma great.
As I was doing the draft live at Valley Ranch, Rod Marinelli waved to me and my friend Jeff Kavanaugh. We were doing a segment that morning. He took us back to his office. He's going to tell us a story. We got about a 4-minute commercial break, so it's got to be real quick. He starts telling a long story. He's looking at some photos of Newt Rockne on his shelf, and I'm wondering eyes. This is day 3 of the draft. Cowboys are picking pretty early, and 4th or 5th pick in the fourth round. And I see on the projector screen the Oklahoma defense. And what I remember is that one of the cornerbacks that year was Oklahoma cornerback Blake Sanchez. I want to say Blake was his first name. Blake Sanchez. And the only other Oklahoma defensive prospect that year would have been Charles Tapper. So I remember going back to the broadcast booth and being like, hey, guys, they're going to take Charles Tapper because Sanchez was not worthy of being selected in the fourth round.
Where did he end up going? Do you remember?
You know what? He did. I think he was a 7th round pick, and I hope his name was Blake because that would just mean that I have good memory. Blake Sanchez, cornerback, Oklahoma.
I'm not seeing that.
Zach Sanchez. I'm sorry, Zach Sanchez.
Okay.
Born in Fort Worth, so shout out to his family. They're listening. 5th round, 2016. Went to the Carolina Panthers with sharp teeth and claws. Had a good run with the San Antonio Commanders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So, big career for him. I don't know how we got there, dude. I don't even. That's what you got to do when you lose by 20. Right. We'll be back later in the week. Make sure you're following Assad and John for all the Cowboys and NFL news. Make sure you're following Ken as well. Big movie month right now on the Mad About Movies podcast. And also, we will end this as we've been ending our post-game shows this year by sending it out to John. He's way above sea level out there in Denver for his take on this very exciting Cowboys game. We'll talk to you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
This is the type of game that when it's over, I don't even focus on writing about one play or a couple plays or a series because there was so much bad that there's not even a play or a poor performance from a player or just one or two things that stand out. My biggest takeaway watching this game is I just don't think that this Dallas Cowboys team can beat other good teams. And the biggest reason is obviously because of their defense. And there is all this talk about the trade deadline, and Jerry's asked about it again after the game, and he's always going to give an answer, and that's great, and that's great for our business. But I don't know how you watch that game and think that a trade for just one player is going to make that big of a difference. They would have to trade for multiple players, and I don't see that happening. So it was interesting to hear Tony Romo at the end of the game talk about how he thinks that this team is similar to some of the teams he was on, like the 2013 team, where it just comes down to the last game of the season, how you hang around 500 and you got a chance if you win one of those last couple of games that you back into the playoffs. And he thinks this Cowboys team can be like that because of how good they are on offense. And I get what he's saying, and that might be true, but I don't remember those teams having what the Cowboys have ahead on their schedule. I mean, you're now looking at must-wins against the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Giants, possibly Washington, and maybe even you probably got to at least split against the Chargers and the Vikings. Because I don't know how you watch this game out here and think that they have a chance to beat the Chiefs, Lions, or Eagles. So it's tough for me to look at this team and talk about playoffs, but I know that's what people want to do. Generally speaking, I'm sure Cowboys fans don't today. But yeah, after the game, Brian Schottenheimer continues to talk about how he thinks this is a good team, him and Dak. I know that it's tough. What are they really supposed to say when they're asked about the trade deadline? But both of them talked about how they think they have the guys that they need here. And I know, what can they say? There's just no way that you can watch this defense and think that they have the players there to be a playoff contending team. I mean, it's just, these aren't close plays. I mean, watching this game, I just think about all the drops the Broncos receivers had. Like, if they don't have all those, like, what did the Cowboys get? They give up 426 yards. Like, if they don't drop a lot of those passes, I mean, you're talking over 500 yards of offense. I mean, this Broncos team's good, but they're not like that. Like, this Broncos team's not going to the Super Bowl. This Broncos team's not going to the AFC Championship game. Like, I think it's a playoff team, but they're not, like, on that level. And I get it. It's a tough place to play. Cowboys haven't won here in forever. I get that. But still, to look as bad as they did, and it's easy to blame the defense because that defense isn't good enough. It didn't matter what the offense did tonight. That defense wasn't going to win this game. They weren't even close. Yeah, to start the game with an interception and thinking that, okay, well, maybe it's going to be one of those games where it stays closer than you think. And it wasn't. It wasn't even close. And offensively, I do feel like the guys won't say this publicly, but they have to feel like they have to play perfect to have a chance against any good teams. You might be able to beat a Washington team with, missing their, quarterback for half of the game and missing their two top receivers, but playing good football teams, they're not going to get by with just a good offense. The defense is I honestly, it's getting to the point where I think it's worse than 2020. And with the injuries and things they have, I just don't see how it gets much better. So pretty disheartening game. It was interesting to hear Brian Schottenheimer after the game, how he can stay positive in these moments, and I think that's what makes him a good fit to be a leader of men. It's tough. I don't know how you can be positive after watching that game. There were just so many things that went wrong. The positive for him is that they have bounced back after losses. The problem is that they haven't been able to stack wins together. So I think that I get where Tony Romo was coming from when he says that. I just don't see this team being like that close to some of those teams that he was on, that they were just knocking on the door and, hey, if they get in the playoffs by playing well the last couple of weeks of the season, then that's fine. I don't see this team getting on that level. And especially just the way that they play on the road. It's tough to watch this game and think that there's a lot of other things that I'm probably not touching on, but it just, like I said, it's hard to just sit there and focus in on a play here or a play there or a false start here or, a drop pass here or this run play or this big pass play. There's just so many plays that you're just like, this Broncos team just did whatever they wanted. They look like they're the best team that's ever played football, and the Cowboys team look like they are a team that should have a top 5 to 10 draft pick in next year's draft. And coming into this game, I was not someone who thought, oh, there's a big turning point with the defense after beating Washington. I certainly didn't believe that, and I know a lot of fans didn't either. But I didn't think they would be this bad. I thought they had taken some steps, and it doesn't appear like they have. And it's going to take a lot of changes. As far as I'm concerned right now, that trade deadline talk, I'll share the answers that Jerry gives or Brian or like Dak tonight when they're asked about it, but I don't really have a major interest in that storyline because I just don't think that there's enough that they could do to turn this thing around defensively. it's too late in the season. I mean, you're almost exactly at the halfway point, and it just, even when you talk to people that cover other teams and that, like, they're amazed at how bad things are defensively and how wide open players from the teams that they cover are. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much how it is week after week, depending on the personnel. Like I said, when Washington didn't have Terry McLaurin and they didn't have Deebo Samuel and Jane Daniels was out for half the game, totally different. That's a different story. This team certainly, and especially playing at AT&T Stadium, but there's not a lot of positives. I can't even really think of a positive takeaway from this game in Denver. And as Brian Schottenheimer said, and I thought it was a good way to put it, I guess after the game he told the team, if there's anybody in this locker room that thinks that you played well or you had a good game, please, by all means, step up in front of the team. Obviously, nobody did. I don't know why anybody would in that situation, but I watching this game, maybe I'll have to go back and look, but I just can't even think of anybody that I thought played very well. And certainly not on defense, not on the defensive line, not at linebacker, and then just that injury depleted secondary. The secondary wasn't good before the injuries, and so now you add in, backup corners now having to play safety, and so the recipe's there for it to be bad, but it's still how wide open receivers are, how easy these runs are to get sealed off, and for these guys to get around the edge and just turn runs that should probably go for 2 or 3 yards into 20, 25, 30-yard runs. It's just it's not to be expected from an NFL team, and certainly not one that anybody would ever mention playoffs with. So a lot that they have to clean up for that Arizona game, and maybe they bounce back and it's a more positive vibe then. But right now, I don't know how many people can feel positive about the Dallas Cowboys right now.